Hello and happy Thursday, everybody. Josh here with On the Wrong Lead. Another episode of On the Wrong Lead live. We got a heck of a weekend of racing. Whitney Day is here, and thank God Caleb is nowhere near Saratoga this year. So the chance of rain is very, very, very low, unless Matthew DeSantis says otherwise. But I think we'll be all set. So I'm gonna tag in the man who I don't know how he didn't end up a millionaire today, Mr. Mark Capitan. Mark, this is an off the turf Saratoga. Tommy's horses were winning left and right. How did you not just make $1 million today?
I was an idiot and just played like an absolute moron. And then honestly, the late pick 5 was really tough. So I think if you're a Tommy's person, you're watching the bias and the track, and you're going, oh, speed's working, and then in the last race, speed just stopped working. So it was a tough day, really, really, really tough day. Any of these off the track days, I think I always joke around about loving these kind of days, and I do, because it makes the handicapping very tough, and it makes you have to think a little more. But there's still really tough days. It's Saratoga. There's no easy day at Saratoga. Big fields and everything else. It would have been nice to have this stay on the turf, but optimistic for tomorrow. Looks like the weather. I haven't had rain in my house in a couple of hours. Hopefully everything stays on tomorrow. My gut is going to be you're going to lose a couple of the early races. They're going to come off, but I would imagine the feature will stay on. And then this Whitney weekend is absolutely phenomenal. Really, really good cards, big competitive fields, all the things you'd ever want. So should be a good weekend of racing.
Now, I think briefly we need to also talk about something else, Mark. What happened yesterday? Because I saw you post just this really, really nice double that you hit at where was it? At Assiniboia Downs?
Yeah.
But I couldn't help but notice that I didn't see a matching pick 4 hit. What happened?
Yeah, thanks, Josh. Yeah, you got to rub salt in the wound, huh? I may have played the late pick 4 like a buffoon and got a little too cute, and it cost me about, I don't know, 5,500, something like that. And stuff happens, right? No, I got a little aggressive and misplayed the pick 5 or pick 4 a little bit, and cost me a little chunk of change. So things happen, right? What are you gonna do?
That doesn't sound like you at all. Caleb
can't win them all, right? I mean, Caleb wins them all. I just can't.
I mean, Caleb does win them all. Caleb, I forgot. I was telling a story about you earlier today, and someone was just like, that man just has got the best luck ever. Like he just got it all.
He's got it all.
And but Caleb, I noticed you're sounding a little better this week, and Penn State Scott's coming in hot, saying, "Evening, boys, it's bourbon time."
He is right on top of it.
So I have the Jack Daniel's single barrel proof rye here. Not a special release or anything, just a regular barrel proof rye. Caleb, what do you got over there? Anything?
I'm actually doing beer tonight. So I got a Voodoo Ranger IPA.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I mean, in the summer, sometimes I like to mix it up, get something a little more cool and crisp. So doing some beer tonight.
I think Mark had a little bit of wine going. I don't know if he finished
it. I have finished off my bottle of wine, so I'm just drinking water at the moment.
So I'm very, very happy to announce that we have a special guest today. Somebody who, I actually went through and I saw comments on YouTube talking about just how great this person is. I couldn't believe it. Like it was great. And that's our lone Twitch viewer. Fortnite is fun. Saying the early races tomorrow already have short fields. He can't afford many scratches. Fortnite, I don't know if you check our YouTube comments, but Last week on our live stream, I believe I sent it. I sent it over to Discord, didn't I?
I mean,
Yeah.
Caleb and I dunked that horse right into the
Yeah.
winner's circle. Yeah.
This guy on he said, I've watched you guys for a while now. Notice there's a random dude that shows up once in the blue moon and gives out long shot winners. That Fortnite guy called the Lake George. What was your consensus most unlikely winner? Now, real quick, consensus, I don't know. Caleb definitely called it the least likely winner. He's given out a handful of horses, and they've all hit except for one chunk of gold. And that the reason that horse didn't hit is because Mark was on it. And he said he remembers because of the funny name, who was second as a bomb. He's also provided some very specific, useful data. I'd like to know where he gets it. So
he is much smarter than all of us combined. He is clearly much smarter than all we are.
But not only do we have the stars in chat, we also have Andrew Champagne. Andrew, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing just fine, thank you. I appreciate you asking me what I'm drinking. I'm drinking this very exquisite drink. It's called Agua Frio. It's from this company called Tapwater. So enjoy, everybody. Happy to be here. Happy to be talking Saratoga. Still licking my wounds a little bit. If I say the wine steward, you'll all know.
Oh, yeah. You were
really hurt.
You? That was rough.
That hurt. It was my best bet of the day in print. Horse opened up by 3 lengths at the top of the stretch. I thought I was home. No. Ouch. And I got to tell you, you guys were talking about the Lake George. Yeah, I was singled to the front runner there that got nailed right at the wire in that one too. I've been running second a lot this meet. So just take all the horses that I give out here, play them to place, and you're going to wind up having a pretty good day on Saturday at Saratoga. Cue the people in the chat who are all like, never play place.
Yeah, long distance high five. I was also singled to the lone speed in the Lake George and also got nailed at the wire. So we're all in the same spot, right?
Yeah, that hurts. That really hurts.
Yeah, but Andrew, I know we got a little bit of a time constraint. We started a little bit late. So why don't we just get into this real quick here? And shout out to Fortnite is fun. It was just I always like seeing people comment not just on what we're saying, but obviously what the chat says, because clearly, if we just wanted to talk about races amongst ourselves, we would just do it. But part of the fun for us doing this is being able to read chat, read people's reactions, see people get mad. That's one of my favorite things. We dunk on Mark a lot in private, so the public dunking, it still happens in private. So we're not just doing it for the camera, just so everyone knows. But shout out Fortnite is fun. He maintains his own database going back to 2009. So look at. And there's Mr. James Kinchin, our commenter, saying Fortnite dude is awesome. See, it's great. love to see it. Cool. So we're gonna start here with the Saratoga Special, right? 2-year-old stakes race is a favorite of Mr. Caleb Knight, especially these kind of early, or I guess we're midsummer now at this point. 6.5 furlong, Grade 2 race on the main track. Your morning line favorite is Ewing at 8-5. Unfortunately, Dazzle d'Oro is scratched from this race. Actually, Obliteration 7-5 in your favorite, which I think is ridiculous. But I don't know. Where did you line, Caleb?
Yeah, you know how much I do love 2-year-old stakes races for sure. It's a 2-horse race between the 1 and the 6. In my opinion, I can't possibly invent a way another horse wins this race. I probably prefer the 6. I think he was able to rate in that maiden a little bit, and he has an outside draw here, which I think is going to be a big difference and a big advantage. Whereas I think the 1 Ewing probably was done no favors by getting the rail here. Seemingly has one way to go. They look very similar to me. Figure wise, they're pretty close. When Dazzle d'Oro was supposed to be in this race, I thought it was a little bit telling that Jose jumps off of Ewing to ride Dazzle d'Oro. Unfortunately, obviously he won't be running, but IRAD up for Mark Casse, not a high percentage play. They have not had a lot of success, especially in recent years, or recent months, excuse me. So, between the two, 7-5, 8-5, I'll take the 6. Now, if the 6 ends up going off at 4-5 and the 1 goes off at, 2-1 or something, then maybe I would change that opinion, but it's truly a 1A, 1B for me. but not a race I have a whole lot of interest in betting.
Yeah, I think like I kind of took a stand here where I think of the two, I preferred the one a little bit, mostly because inside drawn, and I do think that he didn't get off to the cleanest of starts last time and was still able to kind of get up and I mean he won for fun. They won by 12 lengths in that race at Saratoga, but yeah, I don't really think. I don't think there's maybe a ton separating the two here. I don't really think I'm going to be playing the picks or playing anything early here. So I don't really know how much this race matters. But I am a little interested in this 2-horse, Comport. And, you see Luis Saez get aboard. I thought was pretty impressive in that maiden race. And then second time out in a stakes race there, kind of was just even a little bit pressed the pace, and then just didn't have I think the stamina to kind of keep up with Romeo in that race. Romeo actually got a really, really nice figure for that race, if I remember correctly. I know it was a pretty high buyer. So they only gave him a 95 on the time form scale, but I think he got like an 84 or 85 in buyer. Like it was a pretty large number. So I think running second to that horse there, Saya staying on the board, and this is just a horse that's been working like an absolute monster since that race. So I'm kind of curious to see how this horse kind of comes back and bounces back and see how big of a step forward we get out of this 2. So I have this as a lone B. I'm kind of taking a stand against the 6 Obliteration on the outside. I don't know. Maybe I've just turned on Flavian Pratt now because Caleb has gotten me to just change my mind once again. So he's probably going to win everything on Saturday, and I'm not going to have him on any of my tickets. But I don't fault anyone who uses the 6, but I'm gonna have a fade here. I'm gonna go 1, and I got the 2 as a B. Andrew, where did you land?
I'm looking at this race and I'm looking for a reason to bet against Obliteration because I heard about this horse while on my honeymoon in Europe when I missed the first couple of weeks of Saratoga. That's how impressive this horse was. I was actively trying to tune out horse racing because of, married people, obligations and stuff like that. Saw this horse, liked what I saw, didn't think he beat much. Well, he has this Steve Asmussen work pattern that if you followed me for any length of time, I absolutely love. Big 2-back work, recent maintenance move. The maintenance move is not showing up if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, but it was a July 28th work where he went 3 furlongs and 38 over the Saratoga training track. So purely a maintenance move there. I like the outside draw quite a bit. These are still fairly inexperienced horses where stuff can potentially go wrong at the gate. It's obviously no guarantee that something won't go wrong with Obliteration, but the outside draw minimizes the risk just a little bit. I respect Ewing, but like with Obliteration, I'm not sure what he beat last time out. I don't have a super strong opinion either way on this, but the more I look at Obliteration, the more I think he's going to be tough in here. And I just want to point out that I commented in the chat already, but I've seen the comments. Thank you very much.
I'll keep it short, sweet, and to the point. I 100% agree with what Caleb said here. As far as the 1, the 6, I will say in these types of races, these 2-year-olds they oftentimes take a major step forwards here as they get a couple of races. So this is a race that if I'm playing horizontals, pick 5 or something like that, I want coverage to the entire field, but I kind of would probably AC it here. But with the 6 probably being the most likely winner. I don't have anything creative to say. So pop quiz for Andrew Champagne. The Sanford, which Obliteration comes out of, what makes that the coolest race ever?
It's the only race where Man of War got beat.
There it is, right there. The man, myth, legend has my answer for me. Thank you, sir.
Trying to help.
All right, let's move on then. So we're gonna take a look at the late pick 6, or not the only pick 6, but
I was gonna say, if there's an early pick 6, this meet has changed quite a bit.
You missed a lot on that honeymoon.
Apparently so. My goodness. Next, you're going to tell me Cause are wreaking havoc at Del Mar.
And by the way, shout out to our friends over at DRF. If you haven't already, check out their new chat bot at chat.drf.com. Go ahead and try and break it. ask it all kinds of questions, mess around with it, see what you guys like. If you guys got any feedback on it, send it over to our friends at DRF, or hey, let me know, and I can pass it on over. So, got the time form and formula PPs up here on the screen, and we'll start here in race 8. 4-star Dave, inner turf, going a mile. One of Mark's favorite races of the entire year. Yeah, your morning line favorite in this race is Johannes, the 3-horse here at 5-2. Now, Caleb, you said something in private chat, and I'm gonna out it a little bit. But you said you hate that David Aragona made this horse 5-2. Does that tell me that you like Johannes in the spot?
I do like Johannes in this spot, and I was hoping that West Coast shipper, long layoff, not exactly high profile connections. Maybe I could sneak under the radar and get 9-2 if they bet the Flavian horse with Chad or Spirit of St. Louis or one of the other probably 3 Chads I'm not thinking of right now. But no, unfortunately, I think the line is pretty accurate, and that always disappoints me from a value perspective. I know Mark didn't agree though, so I guess I'm curious about the morning line here in this race. I thought it was fine. I mean, I thought, my biggest maybe gripe would be about Think Big, probably not going to be 6-1, but beyond that, I mean, I thought it was pretty fine. But I know Mark had, Mark was talking about thinking some horses might take more money than what they were in the morning line anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think horses like. This is a tough race. Obviously, every year the 4-star Dave comes up with an amazingly competitive, amazingly deep field. Once again, you have that here. There's no real, at least to me, standout in paper. I think we were talking the slowest time form to the fastest time form figure is like a 5 or a 6 point spread, which is just an absolutely absurd thing to say. You very, very rarely ever see that kind of tight, super competitive field. The one horse that I thought Aragona's line was a little suspect on. It was My Boy Prince, the 2. A horse who has been trending really forward. All 3 of his starts as a 4-year-old, they've gotten better and better and better. And this is a horse that you're getting Jose Ortiz up. And if I can say of any jock in the country, he's one of the best at a speed horse, going to the front end, slowing the pace down, controlling it from the front end. My Boy Prince, I think this is a race drawn in the inner, which tends to be speed favoring, and specifically inside drawn speed favoring. And I think when you have a horse like the 2, this is a horse that I think 15-1 is just way too tall on a horse like this. I think he takes a lot of money. I think you get more like 7 or 8-1. Now, Caleb, I think, disagreed and said, no, you're insane. This horse is going to go off at 20-1. So I think we do disagree on a horse like that. And I thought something like Deterministic. I think that's a horse that is probably the other of the speeds in here, the 8-horse, who, I don't necessarily want to say that's a bad line, but I think to me, a horse that could end up a little bit shorter than that. But there's a lot of ways you can kind of look at this race, and so I don't know how you're looking at it from a pace complexion. Most likely winners. Maybe you're looking at somebody like My Boy Prince just to muddle the pace complexion and fall apart late, which it is. If that's your take, that's your take. So a lot of different ways you can go in here.
I think that this was a very, very tough race to try and make a line on. Like you said, Mark, there's just not a lot separating, I think, a lot of horses in this race. And I mean, you already talked about my top 2 choices in this race, which are the 8 Deterministic and the 2 My Boy Prince. Mark Casse, I mean, this man just loves to win this race. And gets Jose Ortiz aboard on a speed horse, the sprinter stretching out. And, this is a horse that has, handled the mile all right. And last year
where?
I mean, you don't think that figure in the Woodbine Mile was good enough?
That's a 1-turn mile, and he ran 6th.
Yeah, he got his butt kicked by his own stablemate.
Okay, he got his butt kicked as a 3-year-old. Running in the grade 1 Woodbine Mile as a 3-year-old. I mean,
you just tried to defend the Woodbine Mile, though, and we're pointing out that he didn't run well.
All right. Well,
I'm glad
just
Andrew's
saying.
Here.
Oh God. I just think that the way that the inner turf has been playing, I'm gonna want the horse on the front. So I'm gonna use the 2 My Boy Prince. I do think your most likely winner is probably the 8 Deterministic. this horse showed a lot in that Manhattan, and I think was obviously looked really, really good on that inner turf. And I just think, like I said, speed's good. You get Kendrick aboard a speed horse, and I don't think he's going to be as fast as my boy Prince, but I think he'll be able to sit a nice tracking trip on the inner, and I think that's just going to be probably good enough to win. If I were to make any changes, I would probably flip the odds on deterministic and Johannes. I think I'm not really interested in taking a real short price on Johannes coming off the long layoff like that, going against some of these horses that are in, kind of like mid-season form already. So I'm a little concerned by that. I don't like why Andrew is laughing. Oh, Matthew DeSantis says Josh is using early speed. I just started watching to make sure I'm in the right place. But I would be remiss if I didn't use one of Mark's favorite horses in the 7 Spirit of St. Louis. I mean, Mark loves this horse.
I think you're confusing Caleb and I, but go on.
I think that this horse is kind of starting to develop a little bit of every other itis here a little bit. And we're kind of going in, I think, the right part of this horse's form cycle. I am concerned, though. Obviously, this is a horse that has closed in on slow paces, but that was New York bred, and granted, this horse has won 2 grade 1s already this year. So it's hard to kind of count Chad out on anything. So I'm going to be using the 7, and I'm going to give another look to the 6 here, Intellect. I can't help but think that this horse has been a little disappointing since coming to the U.S.
Yeah, hit the button.
Which button am I hitting?
You can hit the Pratt Simp or takeout reducer. I'll take
takeout reducer.
You'll take the takeout reducer. I don't even know if I have those set up over here. Do we have these? Oh yeah, here's a takeout reducer alert. There we go. I don't know. I just think that the figures, at least for this horse, kind of fit. And last time, I mean, really, in all honesty, I don't think there was any excuse last time. The horse, got the lead and then just got caught by Think Big, who's going to be probably a longer price, because I don't think you're even going to get 5-1 and 6-1 on these 2 horses. I'm thinking that I think the odds on them probably come down a little bit. With Chad Brown being here, so. So I'm just going to use the 2 and the 2 and the 8 as my A's. I got the 6 and 7 as B's. I guess they're defensive Chad Brown B's. They're CB's for Chad Brown. No, Caleb. All right, what are you doing, Caleb?
Yeah, I'm not surprised that Josh is on the speeds. I guess. I mean that. I guess I can't be. That's kind of staying to the brand. Of the horses you liked, the only one I have any interest in is Deterministic. Truthfully, I thought he ran a good race in the Manhattan. I do kind of wonder if he's better going longer. That's my big kind of knock about him, is he was able to sort of out-sustain horses like Integration and Farbridge while owning a pretty nice pace advantage. He's going to have to come off the pace in this race, because I don't think he gets ahead of a horse like My Boy Prince. I don't think My Boy Prince has a chance in this race. I know if some people like him. I don't think he gets the distance, and I just don't think he's that good. So, you'll get your price, I think. I mean, I guess we'll see. If not, that just makes it twice as poor of a bet, I guess. But for me, Deterministic, I think, is usable, but I think he has some question marks about the distance and about trying to get back to rating, where he hasn't been quite as effective as he was on the lead most recently. I am very high on Think Big. I'm kind of surprised that you didn't really mention him, Josh, because he ran by Intellect like he was tied down in that Kelso last out. I mean, he was... came up the fence, after having to pause a little bit when Donegal Momentum sort of had a weird step, coming into the turn and ended up getting pulled up and kind of messed up a few other horses in that race. But Think Big, Intellect looked like he had the race won, and Think Big ran by him like he wasn't even moving in the last 16th. I was skeptical of this horse's ability to get a mile, and I was wrong. This horse was extremely comfortable at a mile. I think Big is super live in here. And I do like Johannes. I do think that the layoff is a concern. But if this horse was in form or had a prep and won the prep or whatever, I don't think you would also get 5-2 in this race. This horse was just over a whisker away from winning the Breeders' Cup Mile at Del Mar. Beat some very, very talented horses in that field. Notable Speech, Carlos Backler. I mean, that was a stacked field. And he just always shows up. Even off the layoffs, if you look back at his running lines, he's won both of his races off of layoffs, shorter and relatively similar to this. So I'm not too concerned about the layoff. Clearly Tim's pretty confident to ship this horse all the way across the country for his first start in, about 7 or 8 months. So, I'm using this horse. I think if he shows up with his A game, I don't think it's all that close and he wins the race pretty comfortably. His B game, or if he needs a prep, I think, he's no guarantee, but even his A- game, I think wins this. So for me, I like Johannes and I like Think Big. Those are my top 2. I respect Deterministic, probably more of a B type. And then there's maybe 1 or 2 prices I'll sprinkle in somewhere, but I'm curious where Andrew landed first because he's the only other man of logic in this group tonight.
Don't say that too quickly because I'm going to go slightly weird. I came into looking at this race and I saw Deterministic and I'm going, okay, my boy Prince wants no part of a 2-turn mile. I think Deterministic may very well get that ideal stalking trip just off the pace, get first run turning for home and have plenty left. Having said that, the more I look at this race and the more you guys are talking about the likely pace scenario and maybe Deterministic needing to go a little bit longer, the more I start looking at a horse, Josh, that you mentioned in passing but are not using, and that's number 5, Win for the Money.
Yeah.
Didn't Win for the Money need the Kelso coming off of such a long layoff? And isn't it safe to assume that something happened in the Pegasus turf because we didn't see him for 161 days? Cassie second off the bench with a horse that knows how to pass others late in a race that, knock on wood, appears to have some pace. Did you hear me out there, everybody? A Saratoga turf race with pace signed on. Congratulations, my boy Prince. I've just put you into the winner's circle after a 25 opening quarter and a 50 and change half mile. But having said that, Win for the Money is proven at this level. The win in the Woodbine Mile was very good. The race 3 back in the Fort Lauderdale going 1 1/8 was far from bad. Major Dude and Fort Washington aren't bad. He doesn't have to move forward a ton in order to be a big factor here, and I think he might get ignored at the windows because he was 3rd behind Think Big and Intellect. I see the logic behind Johannes and Think Big. This to me would be a spread race in here. I don't have a super strong lean, but if Win for the Money drifts up from that 8-1 morning line, I think that's value because I think he could absolutely win this on his best day.
Very wide trip in that race too. That was one of the prices I had more written down, Andrew. Dylan kept him 3 wide. Essentially the whole race. He had to avoid Donegal momentum when he sort of checked out. So, given the margin of victory, I mean, you switch a few trips in there, you might get a different result. So yeah. I kind of agree with you there.
And I respect Johannes, but I'm going to channel Harvey Pack here. Never bet a horse as the favorite to do something it's never done before. He ships out of California. He's a fantastic horse inside California. The last time he shipped out of California was more than 2 years ago. He winds up running 5th in the American turf, going against a decent field 2 years ago. He's a better horse now, yes, but if he winds up at 5-2, 2-1, to me, that's just a little too short. I think he should be favored, but certainly 3-1, 7-2, 4-1 range. I think there's a chance there's early money on this horse and he winds up getting bet down.
Did Andrew just refer to Webslinger as a decent horse? Because
Farbridge is, Major Dude
I mean,
is.
Farbridge
That's ago he
is-
was.
okay.
Churchill, that Churchill Downs turf course, man. I'm telling you, you either like it or you don't. Mark hates it.
Well, to be fair, this was May of 2023. We're not entirely sure it was grass at that point.
Was it brown or green?
By the way, did you guys see that picture that it was like some personality of I think some guy from like I forgot, somewhere from Louisville, but he posted a picture like from like a helicopter, like a drone shot of the turf course of all Churchill Downs, talking about how he can't wait to get back there. And the funny thing about it was the turf course was like it was going under some kind of maintenance. So like the entire turf course was brown. Like it looked like the grass was dead. And all anybody kept on saying is like, oh, yep, that's the Churchill turf course, all right. Like, it's like, oh man, they're never going to beat those allegations. But Caleb, you said there were some prices that you might sprinkle in. What prices did you like here?
Let me guess. Caleb likes the one. I'm going to guess a little bit.
Right. I do not like the one at all. No.
Oh, damn it.
Think it's a bad figure last out in that optional 100. And he's just never really shown he's a horse at this level. The prices I liked, one of them Andrew talked about was the 5 win for the money. The other one, I don't know what to do with Spirit of St. Louis. He's not a price that I like. Every time I feel like I know what this horse is, I'm wrong. So I'm just done. He wins a grade 1 and then he loses a soft grade 2 to a bunch of mediocre horses that need Lasix to run. Oh, sorry, Chad. But I don't understand anything about that horse. The one ball I kind of want to, I've been making a lot of excuses for this horse and I'm kind of getting tired of it. But the number 10 Neat, this was a horse that was really good at one point. A very good 3-year-old, rattled off, 3 out of 4 wins, including, a couple at Saratoga and Aqueduct, won a couple of graded stakes, beat Deterministic, beat, Laganos, beat half the field essentially. And then I just kind of thought maybe went off form late last year, maybe got a little ambitious, and he just hasn't had a decent race yet this year, but he has a bunch of excuses. And again, I'm getting tired of making excuses for this horse, but in that Kelso, I've mentioned a few times, Donegal Momentum took a bad step and pulled up. Neat was by far the most compromised of any of the horses there from Donegal Momentum falling off the back of the field. Junior had to make a right-hand turn going into the turn to avoid Castellano on Donegal Momentum. He ended up in like the 12th path coming into the turn, lost a ton of ground, dropped back a few lengths, and then rallied on pretty strongly actually to get back up for 4th. He was also in the back of the field that day and had a pretty tall task ahead of him anyway. The same thing in that dinner party at Pimlico over a pretty swampy turf course. He got just a horrible trip. He didn't even finish the race. He got checked so bad. So I just think there's been some excuses for this horse. I don't know if he's really a grade 1 horse. I don't know if he was just precocious, extra precocious at 3 years old, maybe. But he's one that, I think on his day, might be able to get a piece of this. I don't know if a win is necessarily in the cards, but can certainly get a piece of this. And maybe like a C-type play for me in here.
Mark, are there any other horses you want to talk about?
No, if Caleb didn't talk about Neat, I was going to talk about Neat because all the reasons Caleb just mentioned, I very much agree that Neat is an interesting outsider who there was something there at one point in time, and he's a horse I'm willing to go back to the well at. But I think also you have to look at the Rob Atras of 2024 is not the Rob Atras of 2025, and sometimes things change. So no, that was the only one I wanted to mention. If somebody else didn't.
Fortnite is fun saying very chaotic race. He's going to use the 5 in his exotics. Davis not having a great meet, but still nearly 20% past 2 years at the Spa in turf routes. Meanwhile, Kendrick under 4% in turf routes at the Spa. Also mentioning it, post positions 1 and 2 are best at distance, but there are really no bad posts. And I think that's kind of what we've seen recently. I still think speeds on the inner is pretty good, but and then
I don't think outside is the place to be on the inner specifically. I don't really think you want to be outside of the 8 posts is even pushing it. I think sort of those outer posts sort of suck. But go
on. Any thought on Jose getting off of Think Big?
Louis getting up is not a bad replacement, as far as jockey changes go. I really wonder if there's a couple things you can say. Either, hey, he doesn't think Big is that good, or B, Jose's getting all the A tier, Cassie mounts, and he has been all meat. So this is a situation of, I don't know, being loyal to what's cutting you the checks these days.
All right, race 9, Saratoga Derby here. Mile and 3/16 on the turf. Your morning line favorite in this race is the number 7, Hot as Hell, shipping in for Jessica Harrington, Mrs. Jessica Harrington.
Thank you.
And coming in off of a 3rd and a 5th at the Craw and Sandown, but I had a really, really heck of a 2-year-old season. I think super, super live, if not, I mean, probably I'm singling this horse, I think, in every way, shape, or form. This is, when we look at time form figs from overseas, generally they're usually a little bit lower, and we kind of adjust. But this horse, with overseas figures, is the fastest horse in the field, which I don't think you see very often. And Caleb, I think you kind of said you respect this horse, but you like a couple others in here still.
Yeah, this is the kind of horse that's a lone A for me in a horizontal sequence. Hot as hell is just, if he shows up, he's too good for this group. I mean, he's a Group 1 winner. I mean, when he beat Delacroix back late last year at Doncaster, I mean, super game. Obviously, he was not able to beat Delacroix last out in the Coral Eclipse, but trip might have been, didn't work out for him that day. Maybe, getting a little too keen, a little too early. But if he shows up, I mean, he's the horse to beat in here. And if he shows up at 90%, he's still the horse to beat in here, in my opinion. That being said, I mean, I respect the top two finishers from the Belmont Derby, Test Score and World Beater. I don't anticipate Test Score to offer a ton of value. I think kind of people know this horse is talented now, and I think more ground does work in his favor. But I do think a horse like World Beater might be the value of the race. People aren't going to bet, Riley Mott and, Jaime Torres in a grade 1 at Saratoga on the turf, but this horse ran, in my opinion, every bit as well as Test Score in that defeat. He had a wider trip. He was also trying to come from a bit further off the pace, and he was making up a lot of ground late. Wasn't ever beating the winner that day, but he's a very progressive type. He stepped forward in every career start. And, I don't know that he's good enough to beat Hot as Hell, but I think at 10-1, he's the kind of horse I'd love to key underneath in an exacta. So for me, I mean, I think Hot as Hell is a very strong favorite. Test Score doesn't offer much value, but a very logical next best. And World Beater probably is the value of the race to me. So that kind of simple. I don't like any of the Derby washouts, Tistastic and Final Gambit. Don't care for them at all. I hope they take money and, give me better prices elsewhere.
Andrew.
So once again, our friend Mr. Pack with some logic. Never bet a horse as the favorite to do something it's never done before. Caleb's right. If Hot as Hell runs the A race, the race is probably for second. But I'm looking at the form. I see a lot of 7 furlongs. I see a lot of a mile. I see a 1.25 mile effort that, yes, came against better, but wasn't exactly anything that should leave this field quaking in its boots. Granted, it's probably still good enough to make him a major player in here, but I see 7-5 on the morning line. I'm inclined to take a shot against with a horse that certainly seems to be getting better stateside, and that's the 5 Test Score. That turf course on July 4th at Saratoga was playing lightning quick. So you see a time for 1 1/8 and 1:45.2. That makes you perk up a little bit. But what I like is that he's got some tactical speed in a race that seems very, very light on it. I think there's a chance Test Score is a bit on the forwardly placed side, maybe not leading, but certainly in range as they go pretty slow up front. And if that's the case, that's a pretty darn good trip. And if a good horse gets a good trip, they've got every shot to do some damage. I'll be on Test Score in this one. Hot as Hell is my second choice. I also don't think you should sleep on the other Euro, and that's the 8 Tiberius Thunder. Frankie Dettori does this in big races. He'll get on a European horse that may not necessarily be the A European horse, and all of a sudden, he'll get along with them. They'll step up, and they will more than outrun their odds. I see a horse that did take a step forward last time out against Group 3 company, albeit not the top horses in Europe for the division, but still going 1.25 miles, not running terribly. And I see 15-1 on the morning line. If you're playing exotics, I'd certainly throw Tiberius Thunder in underneath at least. But I'll be hoping that Test Score is the real deal here, because if he winds up winning, you're not going to get 7-2 on him again against this type of horses anytime soon.
Yeah, I very much agree. Spot on with exactly what Andrew said. That sort of idea that hot as hell. If he brings his A game, yeah, he does not lose this, and he wins this for fun. But there's some question marks there about the distance. Test score clearly can get the distance. Probably is a cut below hot as hell's best stuff, but there's always that distance question mark. And honestly, and I think Andrew mentioned one of the Euros. I think you had to use the other Euro too, which is Joulet, the 2, the other Euro. I realize everything this horse has run has been, on paper at least too slow, but at least this is one you can get the distance. And maybe not the most likely win candidate, but definitely a horse underneath, and a horse that I would not be a shocker. Euros have kind of had a stranglehold on honestly all of these Derby invitationals that go in Naira. They have been very Eurocentric, and that was the intent of this whole series, was to bring these Euros over, to have them ship over and run in regular season racing in the States. Interesting horse to see ship over, and I think all of these are live when they do so. So I would want some of the 2 and some of the 8 as well underneath.
Anything else in this race? 49 is fun, saying he knows it's invitational. Did Naira send a bunch of evites to Europe, figuring that'll never come? Like, imagine Alessandro Botti opening his email one morning.
I like imagining that they sent old school telegrams, possibly even singing telegrams to certain barns. That's fun.
How about like passenger pigeons? Passenger pigeons seems very Euro, right?
Well, that works too. Yeah, I mean, I got to tell you, that's a long flight for a pigeon, and at some point they're going to need a rest somewhere over the Atlantic.
Race 10.
Okay, I at least got Mark with that. 1 out of 3 is not bad.
Race 10, the test. We're going to be going 7 furlongs here for 3-year-old fillies, grade 1. And your morning line favorite in this race is the number 6 Echo Sound at 9-5. Last seen winning the victory ride. And I have a fade on the 6 here, Echo Sound. At least on time form, I think the number. I mean, I don't know. I got questions about the number on that one. Andrew, I'm kind of curious. Where did you land here?
Never bet a horse as the favorite, doing something it's never done before. Echo Sound's never gone 7 furlongs. Echo Sound does have some wins going 6.5. 6.5's not 7. 7's a tricky distance, and I'm just not sure what she beat last time in the victory ride. I know the figure came back great. The raw time was certainly great, but Saratoga was playing very, very quickly on that particular occasion. Yeah, I don't think it was a great field. It's a 4-horse group. Maybe she wins, but you're telling me that I might get 8-1 on a horse that has never lost going 1 turn? You're telling me that I could potentially get 8-1 on number 3 Look Forward, who last time out did nothing wrong other than run into a perfect trip front runner in Lecara, going 1 1/8 over a really quirky track. If Look Forward runs back to the 8 bells, doesn't she win?
Yeah, she does. Yep.
8-1. Okay, sign me up
on this horse. I'm with you.
Oh, that's
Sign me
bad
up.
news. That's bad news. It's my lone A.
Oh no. Okay. Late equipment change here. Number 3 Look Forward is, let me do some math here. I'm going to say 800 pounds overweight.
Yeah, I mean, Caleb, the figure on the race for and like I understand, like making a figure, there's math to it. It's a very formulaic thing, and then time form. What I like about it is they also massage the number, and they brought this number down. They brought this number down from a 125 to a 121 due to timing, and it's a 4-horse field with the slow pace going 6.5 furlongs on a day that was speed favoring. Like, you got to throw that figure out, right?
Yeah, I mean, something I don't think you can call that a slow pace. I think so. Time form will code things blue or red depending on the closing fraction. And Echo Sound just came home so fast relative to the early fractions that it kind of made the algorithm think the pace was slow. but it was not a slow pace. I mean, 22 and then sub 45 is completely honest. But to your point, I think you have to be skeptical of the figure. It's such a big top. And even if you believe it, and we don't have any run backs, we don't really know if that figure is legitimate or not. But you got to be worried about the bounce. It's a 3-year-old filly coming back on less than a month rest after a 20-point new top. I mean, in her 6th start. I mean, it's just I respect her, and if she wins, I will not be surprised whatsoever. But she's a favorite. I think is going to take a beating at the windows that I just don't trust. So I will be, like I said earlier, backing up the truck with Look Forward. Apparently, you don't get 8-1 if all of us are on this horse. But if you go at 7-2, 9-2, whatever, I mean, that's fine. I think
I'd take horse 9-2. Yeah,
I would take 9. I'd book that now. Honestly, I mean,
I would too.
I mean, like one turn, she's undefeated. To Andrew's point, I've always thought she needed to cut back. I mean, just looking at the way that she gets tired and runs, doesn't need to lead, but will be forward. And the horse she beat last time, going the wrong trip for her, was Scottish Lassie, and we just saw her run a hole in the wind last out when she was, kind of steamrolling the. What was the race she just won? The big race where she beat the coaching immersive. Yes, the coaching club. Thank you. So yeah, I mean, Look Forward by far my top pick in here. Echo Sound, I respect. She's the favorite that I kind of want to beat. And then I'll have some money going through Ragtime. I mean, I think that she's slow on paper, but she definitely passes the eye test. I mean, this is a filly that overcame a lot of trouble in her debut to, win kind of going away, and then just did it again next time out. It clearly likes 7 furlongs, clearly likes Saratoga. 4-1, not a great price on a horse that probably does need to run a little bit faster, but boy, does she just look every bit the part. So she'll be on my ticket as well.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I'm Look Forward's my lone A in this race, and I mean, you guys have already waxed poetic, and I know Mark will probably have 20 other reasons why he loves this horse. I don't know. Did any of you guys give the 2 a look? I thought the 2 was interesting in this race. Second time dirt for this horse, and all this horse did was win a stakes race, beating Vodka with a Twist last time out. And I just thought that this was a horse that was kind of coming in here second time, closed in to blue fractions, which I know our friend Murphy absolutely loves to see. And granted, right, didn't come from like super, super far off, but past other horses on what was what were blue fractions there from time form. So I thought the 2 Kilwin was interesting in this spot. And then I also thought the 8 Beauty Reigns was interesting here too. Made up past one horse in that victory ride last time out. Maybe you make a little bit of maybe a little bit of an excuse because of the way the track was kind of playing. But it's just kind of a horse that at least the last 3 times out has kind of consistently improved that figure. And I just thought that the 8 could be a horse that's just maybe improving and maybe just is getting good at the right time, just kind of filling out as a 3-year-old filly here at the right time of year. But those are the 2 horses I had as B's, but I thought the 3 Look Forward was a lone A for me. Mark, what did you think?
Nothing creative you guys already haven't said. I think Look Forward, if you look at her 2 7 furlong races, both have been extremely impressive. Both really jump off the page at you and really fit. I don't trust that last out figure from Echo Sound. She's either a likely bounce candidate or that figure is just suspect. And again, to Caleb's point, I really like Ragtime. Ragtime is trending in the right direction. 4-1 isn't really the price you want on that kind of a horse. But I think that I can kind of get through this race with just Ragtime and Look Forward, and I'll let everybody else beat me. But to your point, Josh, I do like Kilwin a little bit, just in the fact that if you've been paying attention at Saratoga, Churchill Downs shippers, or honestly, anything out of Kentucky, Churchill Downs, Ellis, and also Oakland Park shippers have all been winning at a disproportionately high percentage and paying very, very well. Our ROI on any of those horses has been really good. So this is one of the horses that had that Churchill last out start. So, an interesting horse here as well. So I think 1, 2, 3, and I'll let the chalk beat me.
Any other horses you guys want to talk about in here?
I got one quick fun fact on Look Forward, and this is actually pretty cool, and I don't think I've read it anywhere. Look Forward was the last winner trained by Ben Cecil before his passing. He passed later on in November of 2024. I looked that up while you guys were also waxing poetic on that horse. Yeah, he had 2 other starters after Look Forward, but Look Forward was his last winner.
I didn't realize he passed away. I had no idea.
Yeah, he had cancer and passed away in late November.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah, dude, that's amazingly cool. That's a very cool stat.
Anything else on this race?
Are you sure you don't like the 4, Josh? That kind of seems like a U horse.
Cash call?
It's Brad. It's Bob Baffert. It's sort of
speed horse.
I think we've kind of seen a bit of a cooling off of the Bob Baffert barn the last couple months. So I don't want to take a short price. I don't want to take actually any price on this horse, to be honest with you. Like, horse looks a little slow. I mean, yeah, gets Pratt aboard, but I mean, you know, Bob gets his own way on the West Coast, right? Like the stakes races, the allowance, like, you know, when he enters stuff, you know, people just kind of get out of, like, he's able to have it all his own way out there. And even with that, you know, obviously Brant won last week, and was it Nisos? Yeah. But it's just I mean, outside of those like 2 very impressive wins in the last couple of weeks that Del Mar's been going, I can't even name another Bob Baffert horse that's won a race. And if anything, betting against him, I think, has been very, very profitable. I know, Caleb, you've like just been fading everything out of his barn lately, and it seems like it's the right move right now. So, you know, normally, like, you know, him shipping a legit dirt horse over here, like, you got to look, but I don't know, like, this just doesn't. I don't know. This doesn't pass.
Is this a legit dirt horse? Really?
It's
though?
not.
I mean, yeah. Like,
so, I will jump in and answer that question. I would like this horse quite a bit if this race was in Louisiana and this horse could run on Lasix, because the 2 one-turn races on Lasix are fine. They stretched this horse out for the Summertime Oaks. She's not a 2-turn horse. She's not bred to be a 2-turn horse. If she was able to go 1 turn on Lasix, I think she'd have a shot in here. But given the fact that this horse is going to take money because Baffert ships her in, I'm against her as well. But I do want to at least make the devil's advocate argument there, because the 2 races on Lasix this year were fine.
Anything else here in this race?
Nothing else for me.
I see Fortnite just, you know, talking about what a great race. He hopes that they all stay in here, and he says he can make a case for even the 7. Artisma, he said he'll take 20 to 1 or more on this horse. I can't make a case for it, but
I mean, I'm not gonna say that she's the least likely winner in the race, but
well, we saw what happened last time you said that.
If Fortnite likes her, I'm just gonna keep quiet. I don't know that I see it, but you know, maybe I'll throw her in at this point.
Hey, ran second to Look Forward by a head at that 7 furlong Santa Anita race. So.
Could improve second off the bench. You know, Baltus doesn't ship, you know, all that often. So,
I really feel like the only horse we didn't really talk about is this 5. Me and Molly McGee. And you guys give this horse a look at all?
I was kind of expecting you to talk about the horse, to be honest.
Yeah, it seemed like a Josh horse.
It really does.
All these horses, man. It's just like. No,
how many cherries is that?
I mean, it's probably like 2.5. Probably 2.5.
Oh, it's got to be more than that.
I don't know. What's Brisnet got it at? E7?
E8.
It's in E8.
Yep. Maybe. Center fielder dropped the ball. E8.
Oh, there we go. You guys can talk me into it. Andrew, I know you have a hard stop coming in here real quick, and I see CB for you to win's got a really good question, so we'll talk about that in a second. But I know you got to drop, Sarah. So what? Real quick, give me your minute or 2 of Whitney thoughts.
This will not shock any one of you. If Fierceness gets his desired trip, he wins, right? His desired trip is outside of horses, just off the speed. Isn't that exactly what this race shakes out as, with him breaking from post 9 and having the exact trip he wants over a track he won the Jim Dandy and Travers on, over some horses that also show up in here? I can't go against him. He'll be on my tickets. I am, however, hoping that some people get off the White Abarrio bandwagon, because I think he could stand to sit a chance to improve. He doesn't like the shoot. Like most handicappers, doesn't like the Wilson shoot. Okay.
Are you saying White Abarrio is Chase?
Yes, it's entirely possible that White Abarrio is Chase Sessoms. Although, if that's the case, we're going to need to issue a call for White Abarrio to come in out of his Alaskan cruise that he's apparently on right now. Love you, buddy. Hope you're doing well.
And he's drug tested.
Yep. So White Abarrio won this race 2 years ago, beating Josh's favorite horse of all time in Cody's Wish. His best race absolutely makes him a factor in here, and I think there's a chance he gets ignored with Fierceness and Sierra Leone signed on. The only other horse that I do want to at least shout out is in race number 13. I did look at the last 2 races on the program, and I think it is very interesting that a small barn sends out 2 horses in the finale. I'm referring to Phil Antonacci, who saddles the 5 Via Veneto, who I'm not a huge fan of. He also saddles the 9 Selfless, who is 10-1 on the morning line. Selfless has a lot of back class. This is a runner that 2 starts ago at Gulfstream ran 5th, beaten less than 3 lengths. That race produced several next out winners. Last time out, they stretched her out to 1 mile 3/8. She ran okay that day. She was 3rd. That day's winner was a horse named Silvology. Silvology is a very nice horse. If Selfless is ready to run, and Phil Antonacci knows how to get horses ready off the bench, he's a very good trainer. 10-1 hits me as a significant overlay if you're looking for a horse in the get-out race, the 13th and final. But all in all, it's an absolutely fantastic card. I'm really happy that I was able to sign on and chat horses with you guys, and shout out to everybody in the chat. Seriously, I read all the messages, and I very much appreciate some of the kind words there. You can follow me on Twitter at @AndrewChampagne, and you can check out my Saratoga stuff over on andrewchampagne.com. If you're in Saratoga, pick up a pink sheet.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks, you guys, Andrew, very much. Enjoy yourselves. By the way, I need to hit my quota. Lord Miles at 59-1 in the 2023 Wood Memorial.
All right, everybody drink.
Oh, God.
Where's the tie clip?
Seriously, where's the tie clip?
Oh, look at Cobb saying, thank you for blessing us with your presence, Mr. Champagne. Before we get into the Whitney, I do CB for the win asking a good question. He's like, why don't you show Brisnet form anymore? I've never hit a race with DRF. Have you had any tactical advantage with DRF? Should I switch? I will tell you, and so for the last probably 2.5 years at least, maybe almost 2 years, I've primarily been a time form person. I used Brisnet as well to double check stuff and things like that, but I've been time form for the most part. But Brisnet is just what we had always been showing, and so we kind of got used to showing. Mark is absolutely like a DRF truther. Like, he loves the formulator form. He's uses time form as well, but I know he's mostly a DRF guy. Caleb, much like his dating persona, he's just an absolute just like slut for data. So like, it doesn't matter. Brisnet, time form, formula. Well, formula probably is the one he doesn't use, but the sheets, he'll pull up HTR. I mean, he'll use anything, right? But I don't know. I think we were kind of got linked up with DRF a little bit, and they'd be like, hey, like, you guys share some of our information out there, and it's just what I've used. And honestly, what I will say to anybody is, you ask 20 different handicappers, they'll probably give you 20 different processes, 20 different answers to that question. If Brisnet works for you, I will not tell you to switch off. But it's just, this time form is what I use. And I just think that when it comes to numbers, like coming out with just a raw speed figure, it's what I trust. But it's tough. Like, I'll tell you, like switching products it can be tough. I know people are definitely creatures of habit, so I get it. Especially like when you're asking like using it. Oh no, I still use optics too. So Penn State's got saying I went away from optics. I still use optics as well. But yeah, but I try and narrow my scope, right? Same thing with Mark. Mark tries to keep a narrow scope, look at 2-3 things max. Caleb's the absolute opposite of us. Caleb, you ever see Caleb at the track? And the way this man flips through products is insane. Like I've seen him ask him a question about a race, and within 45 seconds, he's flipped through 3 different products to tell me about a horse. It's crazy. I don't
Which
know
is
how he does it.
hilarious because like Dad, who I learned to handicap from, not only does he only use Brisnet, but he uses the condensed form of Brisnet,
Goodness.
where it only gives you like their most recent
Oh, Terry.
5 races. It doesn't give you a comment. There's no comment, so you don't know if the horse checked or broke or lost a rider. Like it's just like 3 races and then like brief running lines and a number, and that's how he does it. So I don't know where I got my proclivities from, but yeah, not from my dad.
No. And what's even funnier is like we'll be at the track, and like I said, this man only uses one. Like he buys the DRF, and all of a sudden because he's on track, he's using the form with a pen and paper, and I'm just like, and like because I remember the first time I met Terry, I'm like, I thought your dad used Brisnet, and he goes, yeah, but he buys the DRF because he likes the paper form.
He likes paper.
And
he prints it every single day. He prints the form.
And sure enough, if he doesn't hit that pick 5 at Del Mar, and then he hits something at Indiana Grand, and who knows what else. It was just like, it's just wild. But no, I mean we look around, and like I said, our friends at DRF have provided us with some nice data. So obviously check them out. If you've never used Timeform, I highly recommend at least giving it a shot. And Mark knows, like when we're in the Discord. When like new people come in, it's the one I always recommend because the thing is like it's always tough to switch off something when you've started. So that's usually where I push people, just because that's what I don't know. Like I just think that it's an interesting way at looking at races. It's different than I think what a lot of other people use, and I think that there is some edge into not using the same data that everybody else uses. And while DRF owns Timeform, I think that like the buyer figs are seen by a lot more people than Timeform figs or other figures are. So
well, Josh,
that's why I like
before,
Timeform.
when you handicap with DRF, you tend to gravitate towards a lot of the public choices, right?
Yep.
So
yeah, I mean it's real easy.
And like definitely the lines those are the figures that move lines the most for sure.
Yeah. But and yeah, it's interesting because like I know. Like one of the things that I think I've talked about this. I don't remember if I talked about this on the last stream, but one of the cool things about having the all access stuff is, I'll just like click through just to see the difference in the figures, and sometimes it's just like not a lot, and like I'll be like, why is this horse so short in the morning line? And it's like their buyer figure is 10 points faster than anybody else, but on Timeform they match up a lot closer. I think you can get that with other figures too, like Brisnet. I think that happens a lot. But Cobb saying what I'm hearing is I should be using Equibase figures. I mean, at your own peril, my friend. Penn State Scott saying you can't use a tablet as a whip. I don't know. It depends how big the tablet is. CB for you to win ownership stats in DRF. Only thing I can see Brisnet has none. Yeah, honestly, I mentioned to Ed once, Ed DeRosa, when he was working at Twin Spires, like why there was no online like Brisnet thing, because it's crazy. And Caleb, like I know you use this sometimes. If you go to Twin Spires site, you can get some really really in depth and great stats.
They have the data on their ADW. You can see what is Mark Cassie with a first time starter, or what is this dam's offspring record in their debut race. Like, you can get good stats, but they don't make it easy to access, which is one thing DRF does a very good job of. I mean, I'm not a formulator guy necessarily, but I've been using it a lot more to kind of spot check random stats, and they make it so easy, which is nice.
Yeah. David Brissa asking if we use Ticketmaker. I think we all use variations of it. Hey, since we're talking about stuff, obviously, AM Wager, who, if you guys don't have AM Wager accounts, you can sign up at our link below. But like AM Wager lets you put in ABC wagers. There's other ADWs that let you do that as well. And our friend Foxhound has written he's got a website that you can generate ABC tickets for as well. I forget what it is. I think it's like ticketmaker.rolledaces.com or something. If you search Ticketmaker, it's like the first or second. If you search horse racing Ticketmaker, I think it's like the first or second thing. I got friends who have spreadsheets and do uploads and stuff. There's a lot of ways you can do it, but I'm like a 2 or 3 ticket guy, so I don't always use Ticketmaker. Mark and Caleb, I know they use AM Wagers tool when available a lot. So
I just threw it up in chat for you, Josh.
Oh, there you go.
That works great. I do use Ticketmaker. I tend to use the AM Wager built-in one. I will say with DRF, I do very much like the I guess they call it tier 2 stats, the idea of trainer off angles, those auto-generated stats that it pulls in. And I do prefer the time form speed figures. So I think for me that formulator / time form balance is what works best for me. But again, I think everybody has their own special sauce. Everybody has their own, like, this is the system that works best for me. I love to use optics at times as well. I think optics is a wonderful product. It's actually funny. I have we had a office day at the track, and I have a guy who's a coworker. He owns 5 or 6 horses, and he's been around the business for 20 some years, and he's a big horse player, and he's got season tickets at Saratoga. He's got a box at Saratoga for the season, everything else. I showed him optics, and he was like, oh my God, this is amazing. He goes, why didn't I realize this existed? So, there's a lot of products out there that add a lot of value, and he found optics was really good at helping him find outsiders that had a pace advantage. That's what he was using it for, to build out things like exactas and trifectas. Everybody has their own secret sauce and their way of looking at things. All products are good. It just depends on how you look at them.
And Fortnite is fun. I think he's bringing up a good point. He finds a spot to be a different animal entirely. That's why I rely on meat specific data. I'm going to tell you guys the honest truth here. The best Saratoga meat I ever had was a year where I watched a ton of replays. And when I mean a ton of replays, I mean I watched every single race from March till August at Aqueduct, Belmont, and Saratoga. And I took notes on every single horse that I thought had any kind of trouble. And Caleb and Mark remember this summer, because I remember I would say, hey, I got a note on this horse. And Caleb would go back and watch the replay. He'd be like, what the hell did you see?
You see,
that you thought you had to, that you thought you wrote a note about this. He's like, dude, are you kidding me? And I just remember it, and maybe it was just dumb luck, but 2 or 3 of those horses won at 25 to 1. Just at humongous prices. And the only reason I would have ever bet them is because I watched a replay and I saw something. And honestly, I think being very the boutique meets, especially, I think replays and getting familiar with stuff that's the best way to go. But yeah, well, we talked a lot about figs. I am hoping at some point to get some kind of figure maker or something on to talk a little bit more about speed figures and stuff. I will. It's been something. It's been on my back burner. It's literally been the next video, ad hoc video I've wanted to do. I just haven't had time to make the connections and like find someone to be able to come on and really talk about this kind of stuff at a higher level and a little bit more intricate. I know like Matt, who I do the Shots In podcast with, he makes his own figures. So even I don't know, maybe we'll just do a thing where we walk through, you know, his process a little bit. I know we've talked about it briefly, but anyways, we got way off track. Thank you guys for the questions. You know, we obviously like I said before, we do this because you guys are here and you guys ask questions. So but going all the way back, I believe Fortnite's Fun, he's asking Mindframe is coming out. Yes, he's confirmed scratch now at this point, right?
Yes, confirmed.
I think, I don't know if it's confirmed, but I mean, they're not going to ride Jose Gomez. So I think it's pretty likely it's a scratch.
Awesome. But and David, God bless David Aragona. He basically made the line like assuming Mindframe wasn't going to run. Like he said the math adds up. So if he scratches, like the line's not messed up. So that's good. And you know, Andrew, I basically agree with Andrew. I think Fierceness is going to be tough to beat in this spot. He's a little A for me. I think if he runs anywhere near his A race, I think he's going to be tough. And I really think the only other horse that has got a shot at legitimately beating him is going to be if we get the White Barrio effort that we got 2 years ago. And I kind of feel like we've had signs that White Barrio's back. You know, I think at the start of the year. Now, granted, those races were at GP, but he has run well at Saratoga before. I've always kind of thought that the mile is going to be too sharp for him. So I'm not really holding that, you know, that Met mile too much against him. So yeah, I think White Barrio, you know, he's run a couple good races this year. I think I kind of like the way he's been campaigned this year. Right, they're running them every like month and a half, and I think that their goal is to try and win the Classic again here. I think with this horse. So yeah, those are the only two I need. I still contend that Sierra Leone needs a setup. I think he's a good horse. I think he's a very good horse. And like, I don't want to say he's Tacitus, right? Like 2.0 or whatever. He's probably like Tacitus, like 5.0, right? Like he's a much newer version of him. But without so much of the head case issues. But I just think that his best races have all been with, I think, a fair bit of pace in front of him. And I'm not really sure if he gets it here, but I don't know. Like, I saw the entry of this 4 Mama's Gold in here, and I like can't make heads or tails of like why this horse is here. And maybe he just completely mucks this pace scenario up and just goes suicidal on the front. I don't know. And maybe Sierra Leone does get set up. So I still think that Fierceness is going to be your most likely winner in here. White Barrio is the only other horse I'm kind of interested from the win end. I don't think I'm going to have any tickets with this horse, but I still think Disarm has got a graded stakes. I still think he's got
Square.
I still think he's got a graded stakes win in him somewhere this year.
Yeah, like the Governor's Cup at Mountaineer.
Maybe it's the Governor's Cup at Mountaineer, which is on Sunday. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just think that he's got a good race. He's got a good race in him. I'll probably use him underneath in some exactas and tries, but yeah, I got the 9, the 7, and the 6 in that order. Where did you land, Caleb?
Honestly, I need help in this race because I hate when I handicap a race and I end up on the top 3 choices. But I got a hard time in here. I agree with you and Andrew. I think Fierceness is your most likely winner. But all the, I don't think, let me say this. I don't think anybody outside the top 3 can win. I don't think anybody besides Fierceness, White Barrio, and Sierra Leone can win this race. I think Fierceness is your most likely, but all three of them are a little bit quirky. I mean, Fierceness is a huge favorite last time, couldn't get the job done in the Met Mile, and you can argue it was the shoot, it was a muddy track, whatever. But 4 to 5, you're kind of 3 to 5 actually. You're supposed to get the job done there, and I mean, he wasn't even close to beating Raging Torrent, who's really not that good. So I mean, White Abarrio, I mean, he also comes out of that same race, but he's already kind of proven he hates the shoot, to your point, Josh. And his races kind of beyond that are better. But he's just a very difficult horse to get a feel for what you're going to get out of him. He's also proven he doesn't like an off track kind of at all. So maybe I'm more forgiving for White Abarrio than I am for Fierceness. I'll say that much. But his highs probably aren't quite as high as Fierceness's best race either. And then you get Sierra Leone, who actually always shows up. I mean, he hasn't missed the board ever. Yeah, literally never has he missed the board. The New Orleans Classic, I mean, is a massive favorite. A tough loss there. I don't mind so much that he lost to Mindframe in the Stephen Foster. That was a pretty slow pace. Mindframe was lone speed that day. I thought Sierra Leone had a fine race, in the Stephen Foster. I didn't mind that at all. I do think the pace here is more honest as long as Mama's Gold stays in. I don't think she has a chance to win the race, but he'll take them as far as he can early. And it just depends on, what a horse like Skippy Longstocking maybe tries to do. Safi does have 2 in this race between White Abarrio and with Skippy. So you kind of wonder, I mean, is he going to try to get more aggressive on Skippy, who does have some versatility? I mean, a horse like Highland Falls with Saya's up has the ability to be forward if needed. I don't think anybody goes with Mama's Gold, and I think Fierceness does get an absolute perfect trip. I kind of think, contrary thinking, the number 8 horse is a rabbit in here for Sierra Leone to ensure the pace is completely honest. But I still don't know that it makes enough of a difference. So I had a hard time in this race. I do think one of the top 3 win. I think the top 3 run 1, 2, 3 in here. But from like a horizontal perspective and a pick 5 or pick 6, I had a hard time because I think they are all almost as likely to win as each other, in my opinion. So I had a hard time.
I'm curious. I'm really curious, Mark, where you ended up, honestly, because when I saw this race, I was like, I don't know. I was really, really curious how you were going to end up here as I Caleb pour the rest of my rye here. So where did you land here, Mark?
Baby pour? He's made a baby pour. No. No. I'm gonna shock you guys. I have nothing amazingly creative to say. I think Fierceness wins this race 90% of the time. I think he's just the best horse in here. I think that I've never thought much of White Abarrio, and honestly, I've never thought much of Sierra Leone. And I just think that Fierceness is the perfect trip in this race. I think he's the best horse in the field, and I really think he has to have some sort of a massive issue or to have a sort of a C tier kind of effort day where he doesn't win this race. I went into this race, was looking at the field, looked at all the names, and I was like, oh my God, this is just such a good race. And I kept going through it. And I spent way more time than I'm comfortable admitting capping this race. And I just kept coming back to Fierceness. I think he's your most likely winner. I just think he's really hard to get around because I don't see a scenario where he doesn't kind of sit that trip he wants. He sits outside. He sits kind of that stalking trip. He can pounce at the top of the turn, and he just kind of draws off and wins, right? And beyond that, I think there's a couple of other horses that I am a little interested in, but it's more for kind of like for the lulls kind of angles. And those would be Mama's Gold, the 4, who is the speed of the speed and a horse that does kind of like this trip. And if you run into a situation where the track is just stupid speed favoring and everybody we've seen this before in these big races where you have a bunch of big names and you have a bunch of big name jocks and a speed horse goes out to the front end and they all kind of look at each other like, oh, when are you going to go? Oh, I'm waiting for you to go. Oh, I'm waiting for you to go. And they forget the speed horse that they have to chase down and they get dumb loose in the front end and wire a field. I've seen it happen before. Again, 50-1 is probably the right price on Mama's Gold, but it's a horse I want. It's like a C. I want a tiny little bit of that one in there. And the other one is, God, I can't even believe I'm going to say this, is the 10 horse Post Time, who I think is another horse that, I mean, I have bet Post Time probably every single start of probably his career at this point. It feels like I bet him a million times. He needs this race to absolutely come apart at the seams. Every time Sheldon Russell gets on this horse, he rides him like you think he's riding Secretariat. And yes, I am being way too cute. But occasionally you get paid for being way too cute. And this race needs to completely fall apart into his lap. And he probably needs to run the best race of his career. And also, I don't really think he necessarily wants to go this far. But there is a scenario where this completely comes apart at the seams. You know, you look at it on paper and you're like, well, there's some pace in there, but it's not crazy. A couple of them hook up, they get stupid on the front end, it melts, and Post Time picks up the pieces. Again, I'm going to AC this. I will have 95% of my money going through Fierceness in this scenario, but a tiny little bit of those too. Because honestly, and I guess this is how I look at this race, to Josh's point, I think Fierceness or you have some sort of stupid price. I just really don't think any of the second, third, fourth, fifth choices have a real shot. I think you guys are saying, I like all the top three. Well, I just think that the Fierceness is much better than those others.
Fortnite is fun saying he heard if Sheldon wins this race, he's going to get lucky with the trainer. I'm going to tell you right now, I think Sheldon's lucky he's married to the trainer with the way that he rides his horse. But
I mean, he is a lock for fourth.
Oh god,
a much the best fourth. Just a lock.
That's so funny.
The horse never basically misses the board. He's Sierra Leone, right? Like, so how do he and Sierra Leone both hit the board with somebody else winning? Like that. This is
I mean, I do love me some Post Time, and he doesn't owe me a dime.
Same. Like he owes me nothing
from that post too. He's going to be 11 wide the entire way.
Yeah. Yeah, he's gonna be.
But anything else in this race?
I know a few people. I think David Aragona. I don't know for sure, but I know he's in the past been pretty high on Highland Falls. I think someone in chat was on that horse as well. Was it?
I saw. Yeah, Brandon asked if there's any love for Highland Falls.
I mean, I've tried with this horse, but kind of like a Spirit of St. Louis. I'm just never on the right side of him. I don't think he can win this race.
By the way,
I don't like him, but you guys, yeah.
Would you like to know who your boy Aragona is on?
Who's he on?
Post Time.
Post Time.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
Loves Post Time.
Loves it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think he'll be a very happy fourth. Like, I think in this race, you could take $50 and play Fierceness over Sierra Leone, over White Barrio, over Post Time, and there's a good chance that'll come in my opinion.
Let's see. Oh man, we got a lot of comments. There's a lot of love between Marco and CB for you to win. I love it. A lot of mention about the 8 being a rabbit.
It has to be. It makes no other sense any other way.
Yeah.
Chad enters a rabbit for Sierra Leone, and probably the only race he's ever been in that didn't need a rabbit.
Didn't need a rabbit. Yeah. It's kind of baffling.
Penn State Scott saying the 2 is using this as a prep for the Chucktown Derby. I think Skippy Longstocking is a kind of an interesting horse because I think he's better than he's gotten credit for, but at the same time, I just don't think he's like a grade 1 horse.
Well, here's the thing: they paid $37,000 for the horse, and he won $3.6 million. I think he deserves every bit of credit he's gotten. He's a really cool horse.
I mean, he 100x'd his sale price. If you own him, you are so happy.
If there was a dictionary definition of a grade 2 horse, it is Skippy Longstocking. That is the most grade 2 fucking horse that there is out there. You put him in a grade 2 and he's got a shot.
He's also on this horse that he kind of wins those sort of other races. He never wins the big race, and he never wins. But they've campaigned him in those like G2, G3s that have stupidly outsized purses, like the Charleston Classic, where he does really well. Like he has been campaigned amazingly well. The connections all the way around. I mean, good on you guys. You guys won the lottery on that one. But yeah, and he's a cool horse. I have no knock against him. Absolutely love me some Skippy, but I just don't see how he wins this.
And as usual, Cobb just hates fun. So this might be my least favorite horse of all time. But we got through the stakes, but hey, we got 2 more races, and we'll try and get through these last 2 here. If you guys are feeling frisky with some of these horizontals, I'll tell you what, this turf sprint has a very interesting horse in it, and that I don't know if I've ever seen this before. I've seen this move, I think, the other way, but have you guys ever seen a horse leave Brad Cox's barn to go into Wesley Ward's barn?
Nothing comes to mind.
Like, I thought the two, like that was just kind of, I don't know, that I saw that and I was like, oh, it's like a turf sprinter leaving Cox's barn to go into Wesley Ward's barn. Like, you see a lot of like horses leave Ward's barn, the turf sprinters that have done well and go to other places, but I don't know. I haven't necessarily seen Ward take a lot of stock like that. But 5.5 furlong turf allowance. I thought this was a pretty salty race. And your morning line favorite in this race, I believe, is at 3-1, La Salvadorena here for Ray Handel and Flavian Pratt. I'll have you know, I am not going to hit the Pratt sim button because I don't have this horse on any of my tickets. But Mark, I'll let you start here. Where did you kind of land in this race?
Oh man, this is going to be very contrary to my normal chalking weaselness in this race because I need 2 horses and they're both stupid prices on the board, and that's all I'm going to have in here. And I'm definitely playing this late pick 5. So the first, there's a lot of horses in this field who have not shown a big propensity to win. You have a lot of trainer moves, you have a lot of jockey moves, et cetera, et cetera. So first off, let's start with the number 10 horse Granca for Antonio Sano. Luis Saez gets up for this horse that won on debut. Speed figures are a little bit light, but this should be the speed of your speed. Luis Saez on the front end in a turf sprint is something that I just tend to trust. And normally second time turf sprinters, they do move forward. Yes, that was Gulfstream Park turf. I realize it's very different than a Saratoga turf that we just got a whole bunch of rain on, but this is a horse that at least I know is going to get clear, going to show some speed, and going to get to the front end and hopefully avoid some of the traffic troubles. So at 10-1, I thought Granca was extremely interesting in this spot. And the horse that I'm probably going to have an irresponsibly large wager on is going to be, and I will say this with the caveat that I basically spent most of today in our private chat ripping apart Jose Lezcano's soul. And I am going to be absolutely slam dunking Jose Lezcano on this 6 horse being Betty. It's a claim out of the Serpy barn into Lisa Burkowski. She is very good first off the claim. And she tends to be really good with Jose.
Not a claim. She's taken over some of his horses.
The private move. My bad. You're correct. If you believe time form, the last 3 races are the 3 fastest races in this field. And this is a horse that, and specifically that last race actually jumps off the paper. It's like 6 or 7 points faster than everybody else in the field. Jose Lezcano will probably find some random excuse to run this horses up somebody else's ass or something stupid, because that's really what Jose Lezcano does these days. But at 15-1, on a horse that time form says is the fastest in the field, you have a trainer that's about 30% first off the claim with a $5 and something cent ROI, and he's $14.20 ROI first time putting Lezcano up. I think being Betty is a really interesting sort of horse in this field, which is otherwise an absolute dart throwing affair. So I'm going to use the 6 and the 10, and I'm going to try to throw a couple darts and get some prices, and hope some of the logical chalks or more logical shorter prices don't boom me.
So Caleb, what are the chances that Mark and I are on the same horse and they are going to both be double digits?
Well, Mark decided to channel his inner Josh and go for the cheap speeds. So I think it's not totally unreasonable. Yeah.
Yeah, because I have 3 A's in this race. One of them is the 6, being Betty. The other one is the 10, Gronka. I thought, honestly, like, and Caleb, I know, I feel like you don't like horses like this until you do, right? These maiden breakers going against winners. But I kind of feel like this is a bad enough field that the maiden breaker first time out kind of looks good.
It's not, and he doesn't.
No, you don't think so? You hate it?
Yeah,
Oh,
0%
man.
chance.
Wait, how much do you hate
Horse
it?
should be 30 to 1 in this field.
Oh, my God. Oh, baby.
Just like she was in debut to
Love
barely
it.
hold on. Yes.
Okay, well, good. All right, so maybe we will get our price on this 10.
I do like your 6 though. I'll say that. I don't think you get that full price on the 6.
I just thought that, like, when I looked at this field, like there wasn't a ton of like recent form here, so kind of just going with the horse that won last out at first asking. I will say I'm a little. I don't really know how Sano works his horses, but kind of seeing those back-to-back 5 furlong works just kind of look like maintenance moves. I don't know if I'm necessarily like feeling great.
I mean, that string of 5 consecutive 103s doesn't inspire you.
So I mean, I'm with you on the 6. So I'm pretty sure Philip Serpe is serving a suspension or something right now. So I think I forgot her name. I looked her up earlier, but Bartkowski. Yeah, she's like taking over some of his horses. So, yeah, I think this is the lone winner that she's had with Lescano. So because I just like was looking at stats and trying to figure stuff out, but
well, this wouldn't be the winner because this horse wasn't in her barn for a start yet.
Oh, it wasn't. But Lescano rode another winner for her.
Correct.
Yeah, rode a different winner for her. But the only other horse I use, I kind of like the 5. She's Got Will. I like this horse cutting back here for Mark Cassie, and if I remember correctly,
class matters stat. Does class matter here, Josh?
I mean, class might matter a little bit here when looking at this.
This
field,
is a prep, right? I mean, don't you think
it's
so?
It's a prep. No, it's 100% prep. Yeah, that's why I didn't like the horse because it's a prep off a long.
You think it's a prep? I mean,
horse has been long her whole career, bred to go long by War of Will. Off a big layoff, ran a good race in a grade 2. To me, that screams prep.
Look at
they're trying to put some speed in this one. Yeah.
So here's, and I was funny because I was talking with CB Free to Win about like trainer stats and stuff. Oh, the trainer switched to Ward. That's what he was talking about. I was wondering what stat he was looking for. I mean, guys, 29% when Dylan gets up for Mark Cassie with a $3.63 ROI. Like when he gets up for Cassie, these horses are live. I don't know. I like you said, maybe this is just the prep off the long layoff. I couldn't ignore that.
That's mostly from last year though. Dylan has not been good this year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, even okay, fine, Caleb. You win. All right. This horse sucks. This horse is terrible.
He's 10 to 1. I'm just saying.
I'm still using it as an A. But those are really the only 3 horses I'm interested in here. The 5, the 6, and the 10. But Caleb, you're much smarter than I am. So where did you land here?
I wouldn't say that. I like your 6. We're all consistently on being Betty. I think that last out time form fig's probably about 5-ish points too fast. But even if it is, she's a player. Clearly, this is a horse that has some soundness issues. It is a 4-year-old with only 8 starts, races about 3 times a year on average. So there's some issues here. But when she's right, she's fast. So I like being Betty in here. I don't like your 10 at all, Gronka. Not for me. I think the 5's in here for a prep. I actually don't hate the number 2, the Wesley Ward acquisition. You know what the inside draw on Frankie, the plan kind of has to be to send this horse. And I think that, Wesley's had a strong, generally a strong string of horses with everything he sent to New York so far. He's like 25%, give or take. So I do like the 2 who's coming off of a decent race last out. I think that, the Churchill Downshippers have been performing pretty well at Saratoga this meet, just across the board. So I do like Perfect Figure, and 10-1's a great price there. Another horse I'm going to use is actually the horse right to her inside, the number 1. People sometimes say on the Bill Mott Whisperer. I mean, I'm just saying, but Tales of the Heart, I think, is coming out of a race that's a lot better than it looked. On July 3rd, it was extremely difficult to close on the inner, on the turf in general, and then on the turf sprints. That was more on the inner than the melon, but the turf sprints were still consistently dominated by speed. I thought that Tales of the Heart was kind of against the flow of that race. I mean, the first two finishers sat kind of 1-2 the whole way, including the favorite in this race, La Salvadorena, who I don't really care much for. I thought Tales of the Heart ran the best race. Should get a more honest pace setup in here with the likes of Perfect Figure and Upon a Star, the 10 horse, the cheap speed from Gulfstream coming in with Sias up. I think the pace here should be more honest. Tales of the Heart should be able to save ground. So she's one in here that I'll have some money going through as well. So I like the 1, 2, and 6. And then I'm kind of curious, not a horse that I would really normally go for, but did anybody look at the 4? It just seems like Santana has been riding so well recently. And the Mike Maker barn, after starting the meet, something like 1 for 20 or something like that, does appear to maybe have finally been waking up a little bit. Did either of you guys look at the 4 at all?
Yeah, I did. I just don't know if this is a turf horse. That's my biggest question still. But Westward apparently did try to get this one on turf last time out down at Aqueduct. And no, I think Upon a Star is a little bit interesting here. Obviously, Santana has been riding phenomenal. If you've been watching Saratoga, I think we don't think of Santana as being a turf jockey, but he's very much figured out how to be a turf jockey the past few months. He came up, rode the Aqueduct spring meet, was very good down there, and has just taken a step forward. He's, I think, what your third in jockey standings right now, and getting home horses, but getting home prices, which has been very good. So no, I thought Upon a Star was a really interesting player in here. I just don't know if this one really does want turf. I think that's the question for me.
And that's fair. That's kind of my question too. I mean, my question is honestly the talent level, but yeah, also the surface is at 8-1. I mean, I'd probably want. I know 8-1's not a bad price, but I think I'd almost want better.
Yeah, I think I would too. But I think that 12-1 ish range, which you probably get. I think that horse is interesting. And I guess I had a question for you, Caleb, actually, which is this 3, La Salvadorena, the morning line favorite. What price does that horse actually go off at? Because it is not 3-1.
I probably put her at about 4-1, 9-2. I don't think she's
that short.
Yeah, I mean, her numbers are good. I mean, probably the best in the field, unless assuming you discount the 6 a little bit off the crazy high number last out. But I mean, it's Pratt. He still gets bet. The horse it always shows up. I mean, I think 4-1, 9-2 is probably about right. 3-1 shorter than I would make her though.
Yeah, I don't think she can win, but she's a horse that could run third, and it wouldn't shock me. She just feels like one of those horses that likes to merry-go-round and run with her friends, right?
I mean, nobody in this race is going to be 2-1, I don't think. So it just depends on. I mean, what do you think the favorite's going to be just in general? I mean, I think the favorite in this race is going to be about 7-2, 4-1. Whether that's maybe the 1 or the 3, or I don't know who that's going to be necessarily.
I think the 12 probably ends up going off the favorite. That was my thought, but just off from name recognition more than anything else. Leslie's Humor is sort of a no name. Maybe Chad Brown, you're getting Manny Up, whatever. I think that the money will levitate towards that horse. It's not going to be a short price favorite. I agree with you. 7-2 kind of range probably is your favorite, but I thought Leslie's Humor would end up being the favorite.
Yeah, I actually thought it was a little interesting because I was while you guys were talking, I was kind of clicking around in Formulator, and I always thought Mike Maker with like first time turf sprint wasn't really good first time barn switch and going to the turf sprint. When I think Mike Maker, I always think going long on the turf. At Naira, he's actually 19%. He's 3 for 16 with. First time trainer switch going turf sprint, and overall he's 16%. But he's actually got a positive ROI with this, which I thought was kind of interesting.
ROI, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow, that's interesting. Very interesting.
so I
yeah.
thought it was interesting over that 44 starts. It was a decent sample size. What was going there, and then like I'm just kind of humoring CB for you to win because he says that he likes Santana, today's jockey, with this owner group for Mike Maker, and it looks like 11%. But I mean, basically even, even on ROI. So, I mean, the average payout's actually pretty nutso. So it tends like he's usually getting live ones, even if they're not getting bet live. So, and yeah, I don't know, Mark. I know you said you're talking about turf. Like, I think Munnings is a pretty decent. I thought turf sprint sire, unless I'm misremembering. So I don't think that's too
I'm not
crazy.
bashing Munnings. It probably is a little bit of the surface, a little bit of Caleb's point of like, is the talent really there? Because this horse, the first couple of starts, I mean, the horse is basically, well, paired back to that debut with Flow Up at the fairgrounds, that 98, 99 kind of figure, and that just doesn't win this race. You're going to have to probably run a 106, 108 kind of range to win this race. So does the move to turf move this horse up 8 or 10 points? I don't think it does. And I think that's the problem that I had.
Yeah, and I think
Gotcha.
just a couple of comments there, I guess. No, I'm not passionate about this horse, so don't take it the wrong way. But I do tend to think horses that handle sloppy tracks often handle turf. I just think there's
Agreed. Yep.
a similarity there versus a fast track. And I think Josh actually pointed this out a few weeks ago. But at the lower to middle class levels, it just seems like time form turf figs are always faster than the equivalent dirt figures. When you get to the grade 1 level, it seems like that sort of levels out. And, a 125 is a 125 or whatever you want to say. But it just seems like when you get down to the N1X allowance, starter allowance, claiming races, that a turf race is always 6 to 10 points faster than a dirt race at the same level. So if you kind of take that logic to this horse, plus figuring that he handled the sloppy track and maybe some trainer stats to like, there's a few things to like there.
Yeah, and I just looked at the siblings, the halves. I mean, honestly, they look pretty good, Mark. Yeah.
Who's the
The siblings, right? So right off Jerry, which is kind of a
Okay,
hard knocking
yep,
allowance
good,
rate
yep,
horse,
yep.
turf horse, and then Isla Capri broke her maiden and at Kentucky Downs
upon a
on
star
turf
as well. Okay.
Yeah, and upon a star, just recently broke me. It didn't on
Yep.
off the track type race for Wesley Ward. So fairly productive dam too. So maybe something to look at there.
By the way, Brandon apparently wants you to watch some horse auctions, Caleb, and do some live tweets on them. I know you love.
That's more of a
you
Caitlin
love-
thing.
Yeah, that is definitely not a me thing. So I don't. He's definitely not talking to me. He's talking about hip.
Hip 165. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's. I'll be honest, guys. Race 13 was just like an absolute grab bag for me. I ended up on 5 horses in this race, so maybe you guys can help me narrow this down. But your morning line favorite in here, I believe, is going to be the 2 Peak Hype. And at 7-2, you get 9-2 on Say Yes to Dreams. And then it starts getting really flat. You got a couple 8-1s, a 6-1 in here. So yeah, I don't know. I thought this was a tough race. I ended up on 5 horses. So Mark, where did you kind of land here?
Oh, you call me first. I have absolutely no idea in this race. This is a complete scramble. I'm really hoping Clocker reports kind of, tip that there may be some horses that are working really well in the morning. I'm a little scared to admit how many horses I've written down on this race, but my thought here in the sequence was the previous race. I feel like I'm gonna probably get a little cute. I feel like I can get a little cute in the in the feature, in the Whitney, and I'm just gonna kind of somewhat ABC by this race. I think there's a lot of horses. I tend to like some of these fresher faces, the horses that have less races. So horses like the 2-horse Peak Hope, horses like the 6-horse Coastal Cabin, other horses. I thought Say Yes to the Dreams, the 10, the other Chad, the Euro Invader getting Lasix for the first time. I thought those kind of horses were the ones that I was most interested in, but I would not talk anybody off any single horse in this field because I had, again, similar to you, Josh, I had a very hard time making, it kind of trying to figure out where I want to land here. And I think to me, this is what makes this late pick 5 sequence really interesting, or the pick 6 if you're playing it, is the fact that there's, I think, a huge potential for calamity. There's a huge potential for prices in this race. So if you have some, you can get sharp and break out the Sharpie, and you can come up with some good opinions earlier on in the card, you can get live to a really spready race here and try to find those prices to get you that big payout. And that's kind of how I'm looking at the sequence. So hopefully Caleb has some way better opinions than I have. I don't know. Maybe he loves this one.
He's looking for him. He's looking behind him. Where do you see these opinions?
Yeah. Is his inner Mott? I was hoping the inner Mott whisperer would come out and he would just say, "Oh, this one is super live" or something.
Yes. So first things first, Mark, if you're truly just going to use the 6 and the 10 last race, I would strongly encourage you to buy this race. I will. It would be awful to get one of those home and be live and then lose to some fucking nonsense horse here. That being said, I'm once again a little bit salty with David Aragona because I thought I should get 6-1 on this Chad Brown horse, and he made this horse the morning line favorite at 7-2. And this is by far my top pick in the race, Peak Hype. From, like I said, I mentioned earlier that 4th of July weekend, the inner turf was wicked speed favoring. I mean, Andrew mentioned it. I've noted as well in my own notes. It was almost impossible to close on the inner turf that day. The first 4 finishers in that race were 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th at the first call. Literally nobody changed position except for the eventual 5th place finisher. That bias was just way too strong. This is Chad Brown. It's Irad Ortiz against an awful bias last out. And despite that bias, this horse still enters the race with like the, 3rd highest speed figure in debut, give or take. I think this horse is kind of much the horse to beat. After this horse, I think the race gets extremely difficult and complicated. So for me, Peak Hype is a probably like a single A type of a horse in here. To Mark's previous point about the Bill Mott Whisperer, I don't like Resurge at all. Close Hatches Dam, this is a dirt horse. I mean, it's the half sibling horse to the infamous Tacitus and other horses, and just has not been able to really figure things out. Not a horse for me, not on the turf. I don't see the pedigree here for the turf. I don't like the way the horse has been kind of training in the mornings. So just not a horse for me. Probably will take money given the pedigree, but not for me. So for me, the 2 was kind of a lone A. And then I had the 4, 5, 6, and 7 kind of all behind her as my Bs. The 6 and 7 are first-time starters for barns that are not phenomenal with firsters, but I do kind of want maybe an unexposed horse in here. Andrew did kind of mention earlier the Phil Antonacci barn does have 2 in here. I do respect his 9 as well. That horse is kind of my BC border right now for the reasons that he mentioned. But that is a horse that I'll probably take a second look at. Otherwise, though, I mean, I assume Josh is going to be pretty high on this 4 because the horse does come in with a really good, speed figure 2 back at Saratoga. Last time out, kind of ran in place in that merry-go-round race that I mentioned earlier. But there's not a ton of speed in this race. So besides the 3 and the 4, I mean, I didn't see a lot of speed on paper. I kind of trust the 4 with size a little bit more, and I respect that 2-back race a little bit more than anything I've seen from the 3. So I was 4, 5, 6, 7 underneath, but I thought the 2 Peak Hype was kind of much the horse to beat in here.
Yeah, Caleb and I, Caleb, honestly, we probably see this race very, very similar. The 2 is probably my top pick in this race, but with the way I'm structuring this, I'm going to use multiple horses I probably would normally use as Bs, as As in this race, because I do think that there is there's just more horses I like in this race, and I feel it's bad to use what's going to end up being your morning line favorite in this race, and like as one of 4As. But I do think that that is kind of a spread race. Obviously, I'm using the 4 Magnum's Microburst, the 8 has got a faster early time form fig, and we've talked about this before. I mentioned this all the time. Dirt speed and turf speed ain't always the same thing, and I just don't know how this horse is going to handle the turf. And if you look at those turf works are significantly slower than anything this horse has run on dirt. Now, granted, does that mean that this horse is not going to just absolutely show blazing speed? No, but like you're going off of one race here. I just think the 4 it has got that proven, I think, turf speed, and on the inner turf, I always am going to make sure that I'm not going to get boomed by the speed. So the 2 and the 4 are probably my top pick. I think Andrew mentioned the 5 a bit before the Via Veneto for Phil Antonacci and Umberto Rispoli. And it was funny because it wasn't until I looked at this horse on Formulator. For some reason, time form is missing some works. But Formulator's got this horse working a 36 second bullet, going 3 furlongs. And, Phil Antonacci is actually really, really good at maiden special weight races. It's very weird because he's not like great first time starter. He's not great, but he literally is won 27% of his maiden races, and so the fact that Rispoli gets aboard here, I think he's a very, very good turf jock. He gets aboard here. Phil is very good in these maiden races. I thought this horse could be a little live, so I'm going to use the 5 as an A. And then Caleb, I don't think you mentioned it, but I think I like the 12 Just So Pretty on the outside. This is another horse that I think has got some tactical speed. Maybe not necessarily going to be on the lead, but I don't know. I'm kind of going back and forth because Mark has got his favorite saying that the horse doesn't like get his picture taken, and this is a horse that's been very, very close a number of times and just hasn't gotten there. So maybe it's just like madness going back to this horse for the 9th time when this horse has finished in the money 5 times. But I don't know. I feel like Rosario has been riding very well to start this meet. He's winning at 20%. And it's been a while, I think, since we've seen Rosario winning at 20% at Saratoga. So there's clearly something he gets here. But Rosario and Danny Gargan are winning at 29%. He doesn't ride for Gargan very much, but when he does, 29% at Saratoga, 25% over the last year. So I'm gonna give this horse another shot here. 8-1 on the morning line. I think you're gonna get a fair price. And then my lone B, and honestly at this point, if I have one B, I might as well probably make it an A, was the other first time starter that I think, Mark, you talked about, the 6 Coastal Cabin.
Yep.
I mean, it's Sherry and Jose. I mean, he's been getting a lot of really live Sherry mounts. They've had success all year. And with Jose kind of riding that like Kentucky circuit a lot, he's gonna, I think, continue to get those live Sherry mounts. So I really like the 6 Coastal Cabin here. Maybe a little like a City of Light, I don't think has necessarily been doing all that well with turf horses. He's basically bang average 11% with turf routers. So I'm not really sure, but you got Warfront on the bottom, so you got a bit of turfy pedigree here. I like the 6 Coastal Cabin here. So I got 5 horses written down. I got the 2, the 4, the 5, the 6, and the 12. Caleb, any other horses you want to talk about here?
No, we pretty much covered it. Like I said, I was 2 with the 4, 5, 6, 7. Andrew kind of sold me on the 9, the other Antonacci. The 12 could win if nobody else kind of steps forward, but I just feel like that horse is really exposed at this point. That's a tough post for that run style as well. So she's one that I probably won't have. But I'm kind of counting on a horse, one of the first time starters or a second time out kind of a horse to kind of take that step forward. So yeah, 2 is still my top pick considerably, and then some combination of 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 underneath as B's or C's.
David Barista thinks this late double could really pay. And I kind of feel like, like
having 2 races at the
Yeah.
end that they did that are not, after the Whitney, makes the late pick 5 actually a pretty good wager.
Yep.
Yeah. Fortnite is fun mentioning posts 11 through 12 are 1 for 57 the last 5 meets. That's pretty wild. And then CB3 wants a better bet the Candy Ride Bloodline. Which horse is that? Okay, Mark, do you know?
Oh, I don't know, but I will mention that I did say earlier on about the inner kind of, we were talking about the 4-star Dave and that the outside post not being good. So it does lean into that stat that was mentioned. Candy Ride.
I didn't see. Did I not see Candy Ride in here? I don't think I did. I didn't.
Oh, that's Candy. I didn't see a Candy Ride.
Am I misreading this?
I-
It's one of the 80s. Or Into
Unless-
Mischief. There was an Into Mischief in here somewhere. I think there was like the 11 All Night Revival. But like even like this horse, right? Like I mean, this horse has got some back races.
There's also
that kind of
the
fit here.
eight's in a mischief as well. But,
Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, this is like I saw David Barista's comment and I love it. This race feels like straight gambling.
Oh,
And
it
if there's
completely
one thing
does.
that we like, it's straight gambling.
That's
So
right.
I definitely think that probably feeds into that. But it's a good card. It's a good card.
a good card.
A lot of good competitive
Very.
races. It's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be fun to bet. Yeah, I mean, like honestly, like I haven't even looked at Del Mar yet, so I don't even know what's running at Del Mar. So who he could be, but looks like Road Warrior said he just made it in time for peace. Rosario was riding him too late. I assume he means that they mistimed it, but I don't know. Rosario's timing's been pretty good, but I don't know anything else on this card.
I will say, and I don't want to talk too long about it. Obviously, these last 2 races are crazy tough. The middle sequences also. There's a couple of maiden races. There's sort of races. I don't know. They kind of 5, 6. Yeah, races 5 and 6. I guess it's races 1, 2, 5, and 6. Also, are all 4 of those are crazy tough. I'm hoping Clockers helps and you have some sort of couple of workout stars or some horses that you can lean a little more on. But this is just a really tough card. But I think we always complain about Saratoga with these short fields sometimes and rained off affairs and that kind of thing. Well, here's what you want. You got big old crazy competitive fields, and you're going to get some prices in here. You're going to get some $20 or $30 horses in this sequence. So this is kind of what everybody always complains. I don't get at Saratoga, and you're going to get it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love carding back-to-back 2-year-old maiden races in the kick this thing off. I think put one of those on Friday or something, right? That just it makes the pick 5 so much more unapproachable when you have 2 races like that. But they will be. The field sizes are good, I guess. So you have that working for you. But yeah, I think the late pick 6, pick 5, whatever, the last 7 races are actually really, really good races. The whole back half of the card is really strong. So I'm excited. This is the best Whitney that I can remember in recent time. Maybe not from a wagering perspective, but just from a competitiveness standpoint. I think the top 3, like I said, I saw that race. The top 3 are very evenly matched. And then you have a bunch of really good horses behind them that are maybe just a little unlucky to find a Whitney that came up as strong as it did. But yeah, I mean, the 4-star Dave, I mean, the grade 1s are all really, really strong. So it's a good card. It's a fun watching card. And I think there's some money to be made in the late sequence too.
David Briss is saying he's going to try and get around fierceness and get out of the pick 5. And we always love a little game theory in there. And Cobb saying just missing Forever Young might as well be the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Yeah.
So, But yeah, thank you guys for checking us out. Obviously, check us out at ontherwronglead.com, at wrong_lead on Twitter. I am at Cherry Drank. Mark is at Two Turns. Caleb at CalebWVU. Obviously, we were joined by Andrew Champagne earlier, so he's at Andrew Champagne. Check out our friends at DRF. Check out our friends at AM Wager. Have a good weekend, guys. Let's make some money.